Joining the herd immunity herd. This is episode 50, and yes, this is a new shirt. My wife bought it for me, and I think that it is actually a name brand shirt. A special treat for me and my fashionista ways. Love that name brand clothing, don't you? It just feels nicer. If you can't tell, it is a light gray shirt with an off-white subtle plaid running the length of the garment. I now have 2 shirts I can choose between depending on my mood or subject matter. Gray equals herd immunity and pissed off for now. My son and I are going to celebrate episode 50 by riding around the neighborhood with no helmets and smoking some candy cigarettes. I cannot wait for the disapproval. Okay, herd immunity. Have you heard of the term herd immunity? It's the last gasp of a failing religion, the spasmodic twitching of a dying cockroach flipped on its back, trying in vain to right itself. It's the last bastion of hope for vaccine addicts of the world. They have tried in vain to scare us with stories of death and destruction from diseases so trivial we used to have parties in order to catch them. They have insisted that the seizures and eczema and other maladies our children have begun to have directly after vaccines had nothing to do with them. They're whistling in the graveyard, and their tune has grown old. I want to spend a few minutes here and talk to you honestly, give you the straight dope on herd immunity. It's thrown around like a magic incantation that justifies any amount of vaccines given to any age group. It's completely misunderstood, and we need to get a couple things squared away so we can intelligently discuss. Because the anti-vaccine movement has been exploding, the titans of terror, otherwise known as your dutiful health officials, have resorted to their last bastion of hope of a world conscribed to a lifetime of pharmaceutical intervention. Their last stand, herd immunity. They've failed in scaring parents of children, parents who are more afraid of the vaccines than the diseases themselves. They will say this lack of fear is a product of vaccine success, that parents don't fear the diseases anymore because we've never experienced them. But that's kind of like saying travel agents are a victim of their own success. No, they're not. We have the internet now and can book flights and hotels and cars from the comfort of our living room. It's the same with vaccines. We have the internet, we research, we learn from each other, we get smarter. We've seen videos of children with measles, with chickenpox, with whooping cough. We know what it looks like, we know how to treat it. They are not mysteries to us. We've also seen videos of the seizures, the head banging, the screaming, the acute respiratory failure, the premature ovarian failure. And we are more afraid of the vaccines than we are the diseases. Not through ignorance, but through an abundance of knowledge. Through studying this subject for hundreds and hundreds of hours with an open mind. It's the vaccines that are mysteries to us. Us and the doctors and nurses that blindly administer them. It's clear that health authorities cannot scare us into submission. It's clear to anyone who bothers to look that disease mortality was plummeting before the invention of these vaccines, and they weren't even necessary. It's clear that there are cheaper, easier, safer ways of dealing with most infections than hospitalization and a suitcase full of pill bottles. So they are left with herd immunity, their final straw in this great battle. If you don't care about your own children, if you just want to let them die, well then fine. But what about the immune compromised, the infants, and the infirm? You must be vaccinated for them. It takes a village of fully vaccinated viral-shedding idiots to protect the weak, I think. I made a little video about herd immunity the other day called Herd Immunity Measles. You'll notice that it had a disease attached to it. That's important. Measles is where the whole concept started, but you can't talk about herd immunity without specifying a disease or vaccine, or both. All of the ignopotamuses of the world, including, unfortunately, many physicians, nurses, health officials, and government agencies, don't realize this, but every vaccine and every disease are different. They are not the same. I get frustrated with the ignorance exhibited by those at the highest level of public office on this issue. Many of the vaccines moronic, stupid, subhuman health officials are insisting kids receive because of herd immunity do not even contribute to the proposed theory of herd immunity. Are you listening to me, government officials, health officials? This is going to be difficult. I know, just listen. Not every vaccine factors into herd immunity. I mean, scientifically speaking, it's impossible. Let's take an easy one. The polio vaccine, okay? The polio vaccine cannot stop the spread of polio. It does not stop the spread of polio. Is your mind blown? If you ingest the polio virus, you will excrete the polio virus. It runs through your gut, and it doesn't matter if you are immune, if you are vulnerable, vaccinated, boosted, or whatever. The polio vaccine does nothing, zero, zilch, to contribute to the theory of herd immunity. If you want to prevent the immune compromised, the weak, and infirm from getting polio, good luck with your vaccine, because it won't help. Polio vaccine, herd immunity, completely unrelated. Got it? There are others. All three of the vaccines in the DTaP shot do not factor into herd immunity. Tetanus is a bacterium for those of you at home obsessed with Oxford commas and other minutiae, that is not contagious. I assume you know that. You cannot catch tetanus from a friend. Insisting someone get a tetanus shot to protect the weak and infirm from catching tetanus is like a circle and a dot for preventing cooties. Why haven't they? The cooties vaccine? The diphtheria vaccine does not prevent the spread of diphtheria. It is designed to protect the recipient of the vaccine only. The acellular pertussis vaccine cannot prevent the spread of pertussis. And in fact, studies have shown that it can increase the spread. It is designed to protect the recipient of the vaccine only. Mind blown. I'm not crazy. I'm not making this up. It's just not talked about very often. Overuse or use of the Hib vaccine has caused another strain, a strain for which we have no vaccine, to become dominant. Nice job, science! And since hepatitis B is spread through blood, the vaccine does nothing to contribute to the herd. There are several jokes I could insert here, but some Hep B sufferers got in touch with me last time I made a joke and have shamed me into silence. My entire life. Nothing but shame. How do I say so positive? I don't know. It's not sticker sales. It's not the Tony Robbins cassette tapes. Anyway, all of these vaccines cannot, will not, should not be made mandatory for purposes of herd immunity. If you make a law, edict, or decree that states anyone cannot play in any reindeer games because they haven't received these particular shots, you are a complete moron. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Your visage will be forever enshrined in the Hall of Vaccine-Loving Idiots fame. Forever. Now, I've mentioned a few of these vaccines as not contributing to herd immunity because they do nothing to prevent the disease's spread. There are other vaccines which actually contribute to its spread. This is not tinfoil hat stuff. It's known and admitted by all. It's called shedding, and it happens when you get a live virus vaccine. A live virus vaccine uses a virus that's been dumbed down, so to speak, in an effort to make it not hurt you so much. These are live viruses. They're the actual disease, just a weakened form of it. So you get an infection, hopefully a weak one, but you can spread the disease just like normal. Which vaccines fall under this category? The MMR vaccine, varicella, the chickenpox vaccine, rotavirus, shingles, and the flu shot. If it's the beginning of the school year and everyone and their brother has got to get their shots if they want to go to school and they get one of these live virus vaccines, MMR, varicella, rotavirus, or the flu shot, they will be shedding that virus to everyone around them. That's why you see a bunch of measles and mumps outbreaks at the beginning of the school year. Everybody had to get jacked up on the MMR to get into school, so then you have kids shedding the live virus everywhere and kids get sick. How long did they shed? 2 weeks, they say? Like there's a magic cutoff switch that kicks in after 14 days for everyone? Some studies indicate months of shedding, but hey, it's a genetically modified virus. What's the harm among 600 middle schoolers, right? And to complicate matters, some vaccines allow the infection to take place anyway, but just mask the symptoms. So someone without the vaccine would have known they were infectious and would have stayed at home, is now completely clueless and walks around spreading the disease everywhere. Science to the rescue. These are not edge cases. These are not 1 in a million events. They will happen all the time, every day. They are components of a large phenomenon us anti-vaxxer morons refer to as vaccine failure. They are part of why we think vaccines cause more disease than they prevent. This is the basic problem with the herd immunity theory. It doesn't apply to every vaccine, and many of the ones it doesn't apply to, they have their own problems with inadvertent disease transmission. Natural infections don't have many of these issues, just so you know. Again, health officials will go on camera on public record and insist these vaccines will protect the weak and infirm from getting sick. If you are forcing kids to undergo needless vaccines just for the sake of protecting the herd, you are an idiot if you think it applies to every vaccine. If you're knowingly allowing the recently vaccinated to come to school, you are an idiot and not making a positive contribution to the herd immunity theory. You are willingly creating an environment where infection is likely to take place. All of this is kind of, complicated? Is that the word I'm looking for? So many rules to remember. These don't help, these hurt, these can shed. Wouldn't it just be easier if everyone got their damn shots like they were told? For you it would. For us, and the rest of the world, not so much. And that is my incredible opinion.